Hey everybody, and welcome back. It's Doug Woods. In this installment, I want to teach you the chords in the key of G major and E minor. Uh, as you remember in the last lesson, we dealt with, or the last chord lesson, we dealt with the keys of C and A minor. And the reason that I'm picking a major and a minor key in each lesson is I'm dealing with what's known as the relative minor. All right, so when you look at a major key, that sixth interval is going to be the relative minor. They have exactly the same notes, whether you're talking about in the scale or you're talking about the chords. Okay, so in the key of G and the key of E minor, the chords are exactly the same. They're just in a different sequence, and it all really, when you're playing in that music, it revolves around where you're putting the emphasis. Okay, if you're focusing on that E minor chord, and let's say you're doing a 1-4-5 progression in the key of E minor. In the major key, we have always said that the 1 and the 4 and the 5 are major. In the minor, it's the exact opposite, because that sixth has now become the root. So those the 4 and the 5 in that particular scale is the second and third in its relative major key. Because remember, it's just revolving around. It's 1 through 7, and an octave at is 1. Okay, if you start anywhere in that sequence, so we're starting at 6 and making that 1, then the 7th of that major is the second of that relative minor. The octave is what's called the major third, and then that means the second is the fourth, and so on and so forth. It may seem a little bit strange when I'm mapping it out in the air, but when you see the chords and you get it, it makes perfect sense. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm going to teach you the 1 through 6. I'm not going to teach the 7th chord in the keys, because those are diminished, and they're not really used in common music that much, and they're complicated. So we'll save those for a later day. All right. So in the key of C, or excuse me, key of G, we've already done the key of C. We're going to start with that G chord, right? All right. We know how to make that from the first lesson, and there's close-ups on it, so we won't worry about that now. But it's going to be a G, and it's going to be an A minor, and it's going to be a B minor, okay? And B minor is a bar chord where you bar off the second fret with your index finger, and then you play that A minor shape on the other side of it. So your middle finger is going to be on the, excuse me, second string, third fret. Your pinky is going to be fretting on the third string, fourth fret. Your ring finger is going to be on the third string, fourth fret, and then that B is part of that bar that's made with the index finger. Alright, so there's your B minor. I'll do close-ups of anything that we haven't covered already in the key of C. As you're going to find out, if we go through all these keys, there's going to be a lot of common chords. Alright, let's remember there's only 12 notes in music. So that means there's only 12 chords when you're thinking of majors and minors, and those diminished. Alright, you can have, I guess, what you want to call embellished chords or whatever, where you're adding to. So you're going past that 1, 3, 5, and you're adding a ninth or something along, or a seventh or something in those lines. Or you can have chords that have been altered, where you double flat a third, or you do a flat 5, or all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the amount of chords that are actually out there are endless. But when we're talking about those basic chords, those major, minors, and diminished, which we're going to skip, but there's going to be only 12 of those. All right, so there's 12 keys, 12 chords. They have to overlap and share each other, right? So anything that's not that I don't have a close-up up, you'll see a close-up up later. So let's go back to this. We got G, A minor, B minor. The fourth is going to be a C major. The fifth is going to be a D. And then the sixth is E minor. Alright, now when you think of that in terms of the key of E minor, we're going to move that 6 to become the 1. Alright, and so you have E minor. You're going to have that F sharp diminished that we're not going to deal with. We're going to jump to the major third, which is G. The 4th in E minor is going to be A minor. The 5th in E minor is going to be B minor. And then that means the 6th in E minor is going to be D. Okay? If you have any questions on the relationship between the major and minors in those keys, go ahead and ask the question in the comment section, and I'll be happy to give a more in-depth explanation. Let's just remember, in the major key, 1, 4, and 5 is going to be major. In the minor key, 1, 4, and 5 is going to be minor. Okay? I hope this helps. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next lesson, and practice hard. Don't forget, still do those those chromatic exercises, those scale runs. Do your left and right hand separation. Incorporate that part of your practice in your warm-up phase, okay? And then move on and practice your chords. And and say hi to my son. He's photobombing in the back. Go ahead and if you're listening to music you want to play, scratch out, practice getting that right hand, find that rhythm of that song, start adding your chords. And that's kind of should be the focus of your lessons at this point. Don't forsake what I taught you in the beginning and think, oh, I've learned that, I'm past that. Those are building blocks. I still use the chromatic scale for speed exercises and warm-ups and stuff like that. I still run my major and minor scales for hand practice, for keeping sharp with knowing where the notes are and all that kind of stuff. I don't sit a solo when I'm playing lead from root past the octave all the way down in big long runs that sound like I'm practicing, but it's that inherent knowledge I have of those keys and where they're located on the fretboard that allows me to play the solos the way I do. And if you are curious about that, I do have some other videos showing me playing, and you can see what I'm talking about. Like I said, practice hard, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video, where we'll tackle a couple more keys, and then we'll throw in a couple more practice techniques down the road. Bye.